Hello everyone. Our today topic is biodiversity and its conservation. In this topic, we are going to study about the biodiversity, its definition, and what are the components of the biodiversity, how we can conserve the biodiversity, and what do you mean by in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. All these topics we shall study in details in the today lectures. So let us begin. The word biodiversity, we can see it was first proposed by Edward Wilson, and it can be divided into two words. You can see bio and diversity. Bio means life and diversity means varieties. So varieties of lives present on this earth. So we can see that the term biodiversity refers to the variety and variability of the life on the earth. It compasses three main components. That means there are three components of the biodiversity. The first one is called a genetic diversity, a species diversity, and ecosystem diversity. So in case of genetic diversity, what we can say, variation of genes within the same species. For example, suppose we are going to have different rice varieties. It is the rice, but varieties are different depending upon the genes. Breeds of dogs, right? These are the examples of genetic diversity. A species diversity means the diversity which is going to occur in the case of a species within the species itself. So it is written here, variety of a species within a region. Example, plants, animals, and microbes. Ecosystem diversity means the varieties of ecosystems or habitats. For example, forests, wetlands, deserts, and coral reefs we can say. How we can conserve the biodiversity? So there are two ways. The first we are going to talk in details. The first one is the in situ biodiversity conservation. That means protection of a species is done within their natural habitat, right? Not outside the natural habitat. That is called an in situ biodiversity. The protected areas where in situ conservation takes place are agendas. We can see the different places, the different areas. For example, the national parks where the in situ conservation of the biodiversity takes place. We shall discuss all these areas in details now. So first one is the national park. A national park is a natural area protected by the government and protected by the government to conserve its wildlife, vegetation, landscapes, and cultural heritage. So what are the objectives of natural parks? The first objective we can see here, conservation of biodiversity. That means the protect endangered species of plant and animal. So the next objective is the preservation of ecosystem. That means maintain natural habitats like forest, wetlands, and grasslands. Protection of landscapes. That means preserves natural beauty. This is also one of the objective. Protection of landscapes. That means beauty of the nature has to be preserved here. Zoological features and cultural heritage. Research and education. This is also one of the objective of the national parks. Serves as natural laboratories. The national park serves as a natural laboratories for ecological and environmental studies. These studies can be carried out in the national parks. Tourism and recreations promote ecotourism in a sustainable way. This is also one of the objectives of the national parks. So next, under the national parks, we can see what are the features of national park. The national park protects the entire plants, animals, and landscape of the regions. Activities like grazing, hunting, or timber collections are completely banned. This is it is not allowed. It is strictly banned. Human activities are strictly prohibited. No activity has to be carried out in the national parks. Only government approved tourism and scientific research are allowed. And this national parks has been declared under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So what are the various examples of national parks where the different types of national parks are situated or located? We can see some of the examples of the famous national parks in our country. In India, Jim Corbett National Park, it is in Uttarakhand. It is the first national parks of India, which was established in 1936 and famous for the tigers. Kaziranga National Park, it is located in Assam, known for one-horned rhinoceros. Gir National Park, Gujarat, some of the home of the Asiatic lion. So next one is the Ranthambore National Park in Rajasthan. It is famous for Bengal tigers. Sundarban National Park, it is located in West Bengal. UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is famous for the mangrove forest and Royal Bengal tigers. UNESCO full form you can see here, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organizations. The next in situ conservation is the biosphere reserves. A biosphere reserve in an area of terrestrial, marine and coastal ecosystem that promote the conservation of biodiversity with its sustainable use. Two things are either the area and it can be used for the sustainable use. Conservation of biodiversity with sustainable use is only can be carried out. They are the integral components of the internationally recognized framework of UNESCO's Man and Biosphere. That's why it is called as MAB. And it was initiated in 1971 and they are nominated by national government. So what are the objectives of biosphere reserves? Conservation, that means protect ecosystem, species, genetic resources and landscapes. The next objective is the development, that means promote sustainable economic and human development. Logistic supports is also one of the objectives of biosphere reserves. It provides facility for research, monitoring, education and training. The next we can see under the biosphere reserves, the structure or zonation of biospheres. We shall talk about the what are the various zones which are available in the biosphere reserves. So each biosphere reserve is divided into three interconnected areas. We shall discuss about this figure diagram. So we can see the core zone is the central zone, then buffer zone, then transition zone. Core zone means it is strictly prohibited. No human activity is allowed except research and monitoring. Preserve ecosystem, flora and fauna in their natural state. You can see the legends also. The biodiversity had been shown in this center zone. Tourism has also been shown by this figure. So tourism is also in transition zone. It is also in the buffer zone, but not in the core zone. Human settlements has also been shown in the figure. Research, educations. So for education, one can go in this core of the biosphere reserves. Then monitoring can be also be done in the transition and buffer zones. We can see in details here. Buffer zones, that means it surrounds or adjoins the core area. That means adjoining area of the center of the core is the buffer zone. Limited human activity is allowed for research, education, tourism, eco restorations. Act as a cushion, between the core and transition zone. You can see the buffer zone is the acts as a cushion in between the transition and core. Though last the outer side is the outer boundary is the transition zone, outer zone we can say. The outermost zone where people live and work. In this zone, people can live in the work, live and also work. Sustainable agriculture can be carried out. Settlements, resource use, and other economic activities are permitted in the transition zones. Focus is on coordinating human activities with conservations. This is also carried out in the transition zone. Next, we can see the biosphere reserves in India. India has 18 designated biosphere reserves, some of which are also recognized by UNESCO as a part of World Network of Biosphere Reserves. So examples of biosphere reserves in India, Nilgiri Biosphere Reserves, it is situated in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, right? Karnataka, in all the three states. First in India, it was first it was prepared. Biosphere reserves was first established in the India in these three states we can say. So next is the Sundarban Biosphere Reserves, West Bengal, Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserves, Uttarakhand, Great Neck Nicobar Biosphere Reserves, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Panchmarhi Biosphere Reserves, Madhya Pradesh. So these are some of the examples of the biosphere reserves in India. Next, we can see the third one is the community conserved areas or sacred groves. Community conserved areas, CCAs, often known in India as sacred groves, are the patches of the forest ecosystem and or landscapes that are protected and managed by the local communities. They worship the trees, they worship the patches of this area because of their cultural, religious or traditional values. These areas are among the oldest form of biodiversity conservation in the human histories, and it has been coming since long back. So what are the features of CCAs or sacred groves? The first feature we can see community protections, managed collectively by villagers or tribes, not by the government. A spiritual significance is also there, usually associated with the religious beliefs. Entering or exploiting them is considered as a disrespectful to the deity or god. No one can, that is a spiritual significance. No one can cut the trees. It is directly related with the religions, right? It can be considered as a disrespectful. The exploitation can be considered as a disrespectful. High biodiversity, this is also one of the features. Act as a mini reservoirs of flora and fauna, often protecting rare and endangered species. No commercial exploitations, this is also one of the features. Cutting trees, hunting or grazing is restricted or is prohibited. Traditional ecological knowledge, local people preserve them using customs and rituals passed down generations. It has been coming since long back, generation to generation. Next, we can see under this heading, community conserved areas or sacred groves. What are the examples of the sacred groves in India? The first one is the Khasi Janta Hills, Meghalaya. Thousands of sacred groves maintained by tribal communities. Devarakudu in Karnataka, groves dedicated to local deities. Orans in Rajasthan, sacred groves associated with the folk deities, Lok Devata. People used to say Lok Devata, like uh, Gogaji and Pabuji. You can see Sarpako, Kerala. This is also one of the sacred groves dedicated to serpent worship. The serpents are worshipped in this area. The Mawphlang Sacred Groves, it is situated in Meghalaya, a world famous grove rich in biodiversity. Next, we can see the parameters, the marine protected areas. Marine protected areas are regions of these are the particular regions of seas, ocean, estuaries, or large lakes that are designated and managed for the conservation of marine diversity, as well as for the sustainable use of natural resources. In simpler words, MPAs are like a national parks in the ocean. They protect marine life and habitats from overfishing, pollution, and other harmful activities. So what are the objectives of MPAs, marine protected areas? The first objective is conserve marine biodiversity that protects habitat like coral reefs, mangroves, and seagrass beds. Next objective is to protect endangered species such as sea turtles, dolphins, and whales. Ensures sustainable use of marine resources like fish, seaweeds, and salt. The next, another objective is support research and education on marine ecosystem. Maintain ecological balance and enhance fish stocks through recovery. These are the 5 objectives of the marine protected areas. So what are the various types of marine protected areas? The first type is the marine reserves. In these reserves, no extraction or fishing is permitted. M is total protection of biodiversity. Examples we can say here, Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, it is in Australia, has strict zones. The next type is the marine parks. This allow regulated human activity. As per regulation, human activities is allows like tourism, boating, and limited fishing. Next, the another one is sanctuaries, areas where certain species or habitat receive special protections. But the another types is the multiple use areas. That means different zones for conservation, fishing, tourism, and research. Examples of marine protected area in our country in India, Gulf or Manar Marine National Park, in Tamil Nadu. It protects coral reefs and seagrass. Rani Jhansi Marine National Park. It is Andaman and Nicobar Island, home to mangroves and coral reefs. Gulf of Kutch Marine National Park, India first marine national parks. So these comes under the marine protected areas. Now the next conservation, biodiversity conservation, is the ex situ biodiversity conservation. So we have discussed in the previous slides in detail what are the various in situ conservation of biodiversity. So here we have to understand what we mean by the ex situ conservation. In ex situ conservation, endangered animals or the plants are taken out of their natural habitats and placed in a unique and ideal setting where they can be protected and given a special cares. They brought from one place to the other place. They can be brought from one location to the other location for their special care. So, for example, zoological park, botanical gardens, gene banks, cryopreservation serve this purpose. So, these four types we shall discuss here. Zoos are nothing but zoological parks where various animals are kept in enclosures for public exhibition, study, and conservation purposes also. For examples, we can see the National Zoological Park in New Delhi, Mysore Zoo, Karnataka. Likewise, the next one is the Botanical Gardens, where also ex situ biodiversity conservation is carried out. So here in Botanical Gardens, it is the plant species are preserved, taken from around the world by growing them outside their natural habitats. They serve the purpose of scientific research, conservation, display, and education. Examples we can say the Botanical Gardens, Indian Botanical Gardens in Havra, Lloyd Botanical Garden in Darjeeling, National Botanical Garden Lucknow, the Gene Bank in the preserved genetic materials such as seeds, pollen, DNA, or tissue cultures are preserved in gene bank. It helps in future plant breeding and restoration efforts. We can see here National Animal Gene Bank established at the National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources. It is in Karnal, Haryana, has the objectives of conserving the indigenous livestock biodiversity. The last one, ex situ biodiversity conservation is the cryopreservation. Cryopreservation is the long-term process of keeping the live cells, tissues, and other biological samples frozen at sub-zero temperature for storage and preservation. Here, normally for preservation, the temperature is maintained minus 196 degrees centigrade. It preserves the biological materials and the genetic integrity of the matter is stored like the one present in the Indian IARI, New Delhi. IARI, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, is in New Delhi. So what we discuss in this topic, what do you mean by biodiversity? What are the different components of biodiversity? How we can conserve the biodiversity? What are the in situ conservation, ex situ conservations? So what are the various ways of in situ conservations and the different ways of the ex situ conservation that also we discuss in this lecture. So thank you.